My name is Susan Gitelson, and I've been fortunate to have a few different professions, even though I didn't expect to or start out that way. But everything has worked out for the best. I have always wanted to learn about the world, about history, about international relations, what makes people similar, what makes them different, what's special about them. And therefore I've traveled a lot to experience different cultures. And because of factors that I couldn't control, I had to change professions. And I went from being a professor of international relations to an executive in a nonprofit organization. And finally, through romance of all things, I became an entrepreneur. When I was a little girl, I was very much influenced by my father, who was an entrepreneur, businessman, with a PhD on the side. And he was in the textile business, but he, even though he never traveled, he wanted to have a sense of the world, and he became the American representative of a British firm out of Manchester. And they were doing business, trade, especially with Asia. And because of this, and here I was a little girl, but we used to get cables in those days before email. We used to get cables from India, and Calcutta, and Singapore, and other places in Asia. And I was fascinated. And that's how I became an internationalist from a very young age. I was so interested in the world that I went on to study history at Barnard College. And then the major turning point came because the question is always, what do you do? The day President Kennedy was shot, November 22nd, I decided I was going to study international relations because I wanted to help bring greater understanding among people so that they would cooperate with each other rather than killing each other. And therefore I was fortunate to be able to study at the Columbia School of International and Public Affairs. And after completing my Master's in International Affairs, I was really thrilled to be invited to become a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. I had exposure through this doctoral research to agriculture and education and industrialization and whatever else it takes for sustainable development to advance a country. People say, what, you were a professor, how did you become a business person? Well, it's easy because, again, if you are interested in others, you learn from them. My father used to use the word entrepreneur when nobody else knew what it meant. But now, everybody at the Hebrew University where I taught today, and everybody at Barnard, and all over the place, everyone is supposed to have an entrepreneurial spirit. Why? We don't know what's going to happen to us. Anything can happen, and we have to be able to adjust and adapt. The man of my life invited me to join him in business, and he taught me street smarts, which is not what they teach in university, although these days maybe they do more of that. Learning through books, studying history, learning through travel, and every place learning through talking with people. And it's given me so much joy, and again, it's allowed me to adapt to different situations. My legacy would not be for someone in the family, but rather my adopted children, as it were, because I started early helping my father from the age of 9 give awards. The award I'm most proud of is that I established a Peace Prize at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is the city of peace, and it is the center for at least 3 religions. And unfortunately, it's also been the center for a lot of wars. Now, the Nobel Peace Prize offers, $1 million to a recipient. And I had very little money. This is when I first started as an entrepreneur. But I said, it's not the money, it's the concept of peace from the holy city of Jerusalem. My whole dream that Israel and these very prominent universities with excellent researchers should be associated with peace. So I got into the peace business, and more importantly, the prize business. I want to inspire other people. Now, because of this, even though once upon a time I had been an academic and I had lots of articles, books, this sort of things, the distillation of my views and efforts was put together in a book I wrote called Giving is Not Just for the Very Rich. What I've been doing all my life, and certainly in the book, the message is to give. So what is giving? It doesn't have to be money. That's the most important thing, because this is a message that seems to appeal more to very good people who may not have money. There's so many good people who help each other, who figure out a way of giving comfort to others, and often feeding them, or giving them a place to stay, whatever it is. You know, I'm so happy when I read about it. So this is giving, just giving of yourself. Mayor Michael Bloomberg just gave $1.8 billion to Johns Hopkins University so that bright students who don't have money can attend schools and develop skills and professions that can be meaningful for themselves and also for others. So there's a question that those of us who read a lot about what's going on in the world, why must some people cheat others and steal from others and build bigger houses and have bigger cars and bigger airplanes and bigger this and bigger that and still not be happy? Why aren't they happy? Because other people may have something bigger. They may be richer. Is this the way to live? Are you always supposed to study, search for, demand, do everything for money, for status, for goodies and all of that? Well, we see a lot of people who feel that way. It's great to be alive because we have so many choices. And those of us who don't think about ourselves every minute of the day, but are thinking about others, and of course about art and literature and scientific discoveries, and so much that's happening in the world, there's enough to delight us without this need for the biggest house and the biggest car, all that. It's a mentality. And we see that among some people who have never had anything, and then they find a way to get big returns. And some people who have taken wealth and status and everything for granted forever, and how can you stand in my way? We can't change the world, but we can encourage people who don't seem to have the means but do have the intelligence. I mean, just looking at someone like Michelle Obama, there were slaves in her background. She's incredible. And she went to Princeton, she became a lawyer, and she cares for others. So she inspires others. And this is the kind of approach that will benefit everybody. So I I think I wouldn't mind living for many more years so that I can study what's going on and, where possible, encourage others and help everyone around me, where possible, to have a positive life.